Okay, I just started this meeting, and we'll have some people coming. Ashley was coming tonight, and she called me and said she wasn't feeling good, so she's going to get on. Anyway, welcome to the, I don't know which class this is, but it's maybe the third or fourth class of the teachings of the East, from north to east, 12 steps in the red road. And my sweet wife's in there. She'll be here to the 25th. And a lot has happened since last week. Between the last meeting last week, let's see here. I'm not sure I want to start a, okay, let me see if there's anybody else waiting to get in. Anyway, what the main thing that happened is my big brother crossed over to the other side. My sister-in-law told me he was going into hospice, and on the 13th, Friday the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, he left his body and went back to spirit. Went to meet our ancestors, the ones at heaven, if you call it. He was a strong believer, a strong Christian, and a good man who had a wonderful heart, and he was my hero. And I'm left as the elder in the Penson clan. My brother was the elder, so I have to assume that role as a man who does my best on each time, and is not so critical, self-critical. One of the prayers of the north direction on the medicine wheel. We'll talk a little bit about the red road, and then maybe about the 12 steps, because some of you guys that will be watching this are in recovery. I celebrated in January 51 years without a drink of alcohol. One day at a time. And the older I get, the more grateful I feel that I have a lot to be grateful for. And in recovery, I learned that gratitude is the purest form of prayer. So being grateful each day, and praying only for Creator's will for me. And I've been working on finishing my end of life, my will, which I have an attorney up in Washington where I can put that land out there in the trust, so that Mandy doesn't have to deal with all this, the legal stuff. And my brother's been talking to me in the dream time, which is the north, which is when we fall to sleep tonight, we go back into what many traditional cultures call the real time, which is the dream. All the world loves a dreamer, a visionary. And I've done a Hamblecha, which is a vision quest, which is a prayer going up on a hill and praying for 4 days and 4 nights without food or water. I'm a water sign, but I stayed up there, and I really, on the third night, I thought I was going to die. But I had a vision, a dream up there on that mountain. That's where we go. That's where Moses went to bring down the tablets. That's the 4 places we go to heal the soul or find the vision. The mountain is one of them. Cedar Mountain Drums, that's the company me and Bob and Vicky came up with. I bought this house in 1988, and the moment I saw it, I knew it was the one I saw in my dream down in Texas when I was helping Mike with raising the money from the Central Texas Conference of the United Methodist Church. Over in Aldersgate Enrichment Center, which is, where is that? It'll come to me. Anyway, I was a daily attender of AA meetings at the time, so immediately I found a clubhouse called the Harbor Club, and here we go. So here we go. Just a minute here. Patrick, I'm in the waiting room on Zoom. Waiting. Just a minute here. Ashley Lowe. Admit. There she is. All right.
Hi.
I saw your icon and then I saw your face. Hi, sweetie. I'm so glad you showed up.
Yeah, hi, Patrick.
I'd already started the recording.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got a little distracted.
Was it my meditation teacher? Oh, what did I just do? Let's see. Let's bring that back down. Here we go. My meditation teacher used to tell me there are no distractions. So everything's holy,
Mm.
and there are no accidents. I was just sharing with whoever's going to see this about on Friday the 13th, my brother crossed over to the other side at 1:30 in the afternoon in Killeen, Texas,
Oh.
and I followed in his footsteps a lot of my life, and he was a colonel, retired colonel, 2 tours of Vietnam. He was exposed to all that stuff in Vietnam,
Mm.
and he made it till 2026. So he's been visiting me in my dreams and
Mm.
paving the way for me to come home.
Mm.
But part of the joy of still being alive and being an elder now of the clan, because I'm the oldest one of the Pensons now.
Mm.
And I've got, on my mom's side, I got some friends on Facebook, but Ashley's been helping me figure out this technology stuff. And I've been working also with an attorney over in Washington to set my land up in a trust, a 501c3, like having the idea of Cedar Mountain, since we've done so many circles here, and we'll continue to do circles here. It's just when Zoom, or when 9/11, not 9/11, but the epidemic when it hit. Nobody else would. You had to get shots, and the vaccines, and I never took anything. I didn't quite go for that to get vaccinated by my government, so I never got vaccinated. And I'm very careful what I put in my body. They say we take loving care of what we hold sacred. Like Ashley prepares. Preparation is 90% of ceremony. So we're moving towards the spring equinox, and I just did a hand fasting with my beautiful wife, who's in there working, and I wish she'd join me, but you say the first step of Alcoholics Anonymous is I'm powerless over people, places, and things, and my life's unmanageable. There's not even an and there. I'm powerless over alcohol. That's alcoholics. So, and listening to people's language, I don't watch much TV anymore. I like to watch podcasts, and I like to read about it's interesting because we're in the East now, and the East is new beginnings. It's like going through February, Groundhog's Day, and how much more winter are we going to have? And I noticed out there in my backyard the buds are starting to come out. So this is Persephone coming up from the lower world to bring hope, because she's been down in the lower world trying to rescue the lost souls. And so a soul retrieval is actually bringing back that lost part of ourselves that's not like Frankie. Because the gifts of the East are innocence, wonder, a love that does not know itself. All these beautiful gifts. So kids don't hold resentments. They don't even know what that is. They play with their whole heart, and if they're angry, they'll let you know. And so the trick in what I teach is become childlike, not childish. And the other gift of the East is all the people from the eastern part of this planet, like the yellow of the four colors. This would be the Himalayas, Buddhism, learning not just the Christian, but all the masters. And some of them say Jesus is in heaven and he needs money, so give your money to Jesus. That's George Carlin. Yeah. I don't make fun of anybody's spiritual path, because in recovery they say, whatever God you pray to is none of my business. But I do know what God I pray to, and that's a power so great that that defines words. I think there was a slogan I heard in AA meetings saying, if you can put words to it, it's not God. So there was a book written called Not God. And could you hear me, Ashley? Okay.
Yes, perfectly.
I just wondered if this mic was working.
What's the quote again? If you can hear him, it's not if it's If you can hear him, it's not God.
if you can put words to it.
If you can put words to it.
Like another thing I heard, I had a very wise sponsor. My brother was my sponsor when I was a kid, 'cause he went off to military school because my dad was he believed in defending our country, and he was was in the Second Second World War, and he was in the Air National Guard, I guess, and he flew airplanes. My dad was Sagittarius, an air sign, which Casey is an air sign. And my Aries friend down over here, Ashley, is get her done, or begin. Whatever dream you have, begin it, because boldness has power and magic in it. So she initiates the action, the Ram, the Aries. Each one of these signs, the three airs, the three fires, the three waters, and the three earth. So we take care of ourselves, mind, body, spirit, and soul. And the soul is what doesn't die. It goes on forever. So, one of my many books I've read is Who Dies, is Stephen Levine's book. And he says, we just change forms just like nature does. So I got a lot of stumps out there on my property in Carson. There used to be a Stump Town coffee, like the stumps are the clear cuts, or they used to be they would harvest trees, but you'd never clear cut something. It's like you'd only take what was given to you. If you take care of nature, nature will take care of you. Mandy planted helped plant a garden out at Bear Creek on lot 1. I got 2 lots over there that are 10 acres. And this attorney up in Goldendale's from back east, and he's going to help me set up my end of life at land trust and do all the legal work. So when I croak, that Mandy's not left with this will that has to go through probate. Well, I'm learning a lot of legal terms, but I've got 2 attorneys working. One of them is a very dear lady that has a lot of my drums, and she came up on Mount Shasta when I was doing workshops. My audience was mainly people from San Francisco. So I was doing the San Francisco Whole Life Expo and learning how to speak at these gatherings. It was a beautiful, beautiful time in my life. It says if you want your business to succeed, you have to devote 7 years of hard work. He says because 80% of all new startups don't succeed. So they say dream big but stay small. You can go to the ocean with a bucket or a teaspoon, and that ocean doesn't care. So, but my grandpa always gave me good advice. He'd say, don't go into debt, because once they get you in debt, you're a slave. That's back in West Virginia, the coal miners, the coal companies owned the company store, so they give them credit and have them working down there in the mines. A lot of those miners came from China and came from Ireland, in Scotland, because they were mining coal over there in the British Isles, and a lot of the coal is my dad didn't mine, but he bought and sold it. He bought it from the miners, the independent miners, not the union miners, but he'd buy from the independents that were against unions. And he made a lot of money, and I was able to tell my dad before he croaked. Now my brother's up there with him. So he went home. My brother and I were down in South Carolina when my mother crossed over. And Mike, he was doing very military. He says, why don't you help her? Nobody's here helping her. And I was the one that said, it's okay for you to go, Mama. We love you. We're going to be just fine. So I played the flute. I brought my flute and I played her favorite song, which is Amazing Grace. And she was a Virgo, an earth sign. And I'm a water sign. I'm a double Scorpio with Capricorn moon. The ram and the goat. The ram is the initiator. They start things. Like Ashley bought a book here and didn't read it, but she started a group to read it. So how'd that go, Ashley?
Going great.
Is that all you can say about it? What are you learning?
Huh?
What are you learning?
I mean, I think we're all just learning how to be in community with other women and to approach some teachings together and share what we think about it. So it's nice.
Well, that's air feeds the fire.
Mhm.
So one of O.J. Simpson's great quotes was, "Thinking is what got me caught from behind." He says, where the frog and the caterpillar were walking along, and the frog was hopping, and that caterpillar was just going like a caterpillar goes. And the froggy asked the caterpillar, says, "I've always wondered which comes first, your left or right leg." That caterpillar stopped to think about it and could never walk again. So grace is something that comes only to those who do the preparation, like preparation for ceremony. So we have the spring equinox coming up. That's the rabbit, the March hare. That's the shamrock, the color green, the green man. The green man is Father Nature. You think of nature being mother, that is both and. It's the green man who Jack and the Beanstalk and all these old fables say. The flying and it's Mother Sky and Father Earth. But we usually think of the drum as being Mama, because the drum is round. But I also make a 7-sided Cherokee drum, and an 8-sided drum, and a 16-sided drum, and a 32-sided drum. So it's sacred geometry. But out here in the Northwest, they bend the cedar, because yellow cedar is, and I'm Cedar Mountain drums, so cedar tree, clap your hands and dance with me. So the cedar is, they have these big 4 cedars. They don't cut trees. The native community wouldn't cut a tree, but they take a piece of it and maybe strip the bark to make their headbands. And they go out and spear an orca or a whale, because they lived on the whale oil. The whole, I studied a lot of, since I was from West Virginia, and we didn't have any reservations in West Virginia. But out here, they got lots of reservations. They got Warm Springs and Yakima and Siletz and Grand Ronde. And they all have casinos, almost all of them. So a lot of the elders said, don't start gambling. Don't bring, that's another addiction. So if you're an addict, that means you, of your own devices, you're powerless to stop the addiction. It's like one of the stories I heard in an AA meeting is like, you get out of bed and you walk down the street and you fall down a manhole cover. So you crawl back out. The next day you walk down the street and fall in that same manhole. The next day you walk down that same street. You keep doing the same thing expecting different results. So right now our house is in chaos because we're doing some spring cleaning. And that's after you get through the winter, but we ain't through the winter yet. We're right on the verge. So. Mandy gave me the beautiful card about our hand fasting. It says, I want to renew our vows. So the way the Celts did it, they say, I promise to love you for a year and a day and be true to you. But next Valentine's Day, we have to renew our vows. We don't take it for granted. That way you're not, well, I got to go ask the ball and chain. So we're comfortable in our misery. We're with people we don't like. And we quit seeing the beauty in them. We only see the dark side, the beast. So those are 2 aspects of us. And in the medicine work that of building an altar, which Ashley's been doing. She's an artist, and she works for Brother Phil Knight, who has sold a lot of shoes, and he's excellent. He started as a track run in the track squad. I've been reading about his story, just like I've been reading about Donald Trump's story. Just but in AA, they say there are no leaders. There's only trusted servants. So if you're a leader, what the Aboriginals do, they say every day you get to choose a new leader. Because the only way you learn to lead is to lead. So there's a lot of adages about that. The lead dog's got the best scenery. You say. So the East, the gifts of the East are becoming childlike, waking up every day and say, wow. I used to have a girlfriend. We'd look at each other and say, who in the hell are you? Like we had to discover each other. And if you can go through conflict, you pretty much have a relationship that will last. But if a lot of men are in just for the good times, but when it gets tough, they're out the door. That's the way I was. But I've been with Mandy more than any other woman. She's put up with me, and I'm grateful for her. Although I make no assumptions. We talk about the volition, and I love Jamie Sams. I'm great that you bought that book, because I've read that book. And it's like the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. There's the bleeding deacons in the church or any spiritual group that don't share their experience, strength, and hope with each other. They tell you what you must do. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, and do it this way. So they don't have that childlike, their cup is full, so to speak. A lot of the Zen stories that I've heard is Laughing Buddha says if your belly still jiggles when you laugh, your soul isn't lost. So becoming childlike is not becoming childish. So in the potlatch, which is the beautiful Native American giveaway, they say the more you give away, the more comes in. So your yes means nothing until your no is believable. So if you're used to being nice, whatever in the hell that is, nice girls finish last. So women who know both how to give and receive, and that's the yin and yang. That's the making love out of nothing at all. It's like loving. Loving is love is a verb or a noun, love. But loving is action. So how am I Patricking? How are you Ashleying? Manifesting your highest with a little help from our friends, like the elders, and I've been through many winters, and I've been traumatized. I don't believe in lawsuits. I think anytime, so I look at attorneys as kind of like doctors. They want you to believe that all of them are just as good as each. So they're going to assign you a doctor. But not all doctors are healers. So I remember when I was a kid, we had a doctor that would make house calls. And my doctor was Dr. Folsom, and he carried a black bag. And he'd get that stethoscope and that. So he'd stick your tongue out and look at my tonsils. Then he'd give me a sucker and a couple of sugar pills and say, you're going to be fine. And I would be fine. So they call that the placebo. They say, here, take this sugar pill every night and you're going to feel so much better. So the Seth material says, your beliefs create your reality. So we go into the churches and to the sweat lodges to burn away the beliefs. And when you burn away the beliefs, you get down to what you know. And what's real is never threatened, and what is unreal doesn't exist. That's so do what's in front of you. Do the next dumb things, what they told me in recovery. And the meeting you don't want to go to the most is the one you need the most. So what you resist persists. So one of my rewards of reaping the harvest of last I had two relatives die before the winter solstice. There's a story. I was over at New Grange in Ireland right after 9/11 because my church was supposed to have a tour over there, and I went over early to see Findhorn, the community over in Scotland. And I was at the Findhorn community, which is, they study plant intelligence. And they say plants have an intelligence 10,000 times greater than human. And they'll, so growing a garden is a sacred thing. And tending your garden, teaching the children how to tend a garden. And there's a great series of books called, I've got them. It's Anastasia, The Ringing Cedars of Russia. And this woman who lived in the woods and raised a child, and the father says, I'll have a child with you, but you can't see him for the first 7 years. So back then, she lived in Russia. And they'd have you put the seeds that you're going to plant in the spring in your mouth. And they say they arrange to your DNA. So everyone has their individual garden. You don't eat from a community garden, although that's beautiful too. Here in Portland we have community gardens. So if you don't have 20 acres like I do, you can. They used to have food co-ops here. Now Jeff Bezos owns Whole Foods, or sometimes called Whole Paycheck. But I'm grateful that I have enough. I am enough. And the more I have, the more I want to give away. So I told my father, who was a millionaire, he'd made a lot of money. And I says, why don't you spend all your money before you die? And he says, son, I've been everywhere. I've been on cruises. I've been all over the world. And I've seen as much as I want to see. And my dad was a Sagittarius, a fire sign. And his brother, Don Pinson, was the one I came out here. I said, hey, your father is not your initiator. It takes another man to initiate a man. So I came out here and watched the whole series of Men and the Life of Desire, which is about the wild man. And then I said, well, I know what it means to be a man. Says, I'm not a wounded little boy anymore. I can stand up and take a stand. That's the backbone. Learn to say no, thank you. But when you haven't said no, you're always people-pleasing and putting everybody else's needs above your own. So a woman told me the 3 laws. Ashley knows the 5 steps of volition. She's looking around like, you know them. You know them. You don't need to look. Yeah, you got the book. Now you're going to read it.
My memory is bad. I smoked weed too long.
That weed is a plant. it's the government doesn't, the oxymorons of wildlife management and forest management. That forest does a great job without man's interference in it. And if you take care of yourself, mind, body, spirit, and soul. Anyway, the first step is Attention, intention. Attention, intention. That would be who are you and where are you going, Ashley? A lot of people say, well, I don't know yet. Well, you're walking in the gray clouds. So that means I could go this way or I could go that way. So in recovery, in AA recovery, they say your life's none of your damn business. And how you make Creator laugh is you say, I'm going to do this. And you make a plan and Creator laughs. So first thing is become a hollow bone. Like this morning I don't wear a watch since my little girl left the house. Like I threw my watch off. I've got one, but I don't wear it. Because Indian time, like I learned that down at the Comanches in Texas raising money for my brother. So I knew Quanah Parker's grandson, who was a Comanche chief. And they said, you raise money, we want you to raise money for us. We'd like to buy 1,000 acres and put it in a nonprofit and recreate Texas before the white man came. So I helped them. I said, well, what time you want to meet? Oh, next Tuesday. Well, what time? Whatever time we get there, I guess. So I wasn't used to Indian time. I wanted to know exactly what time. That's called the need to know, which is one of the 4 addictions. I need to know. It's like you standing at the chasm. There's many stories about taking the leap. The fool is the one that takes the leap. The mind will never take a leap. So if you think, the thinking is the air. And that's a tool. It's a really good tool. It means, in recovery they say pause when you're agitated. Act, don't react. So and don't get into a pissing contest with the skunk. Because a lot of people avoid loud, aggressive people. That's from Desderata. Says they're vexations of the soul. So hang around people that are fun to be with. That's what rich is. You can have all the money you want, but I can't take any of it with you. So we don't know how long we have. We just have today. That's the non-progressive Great Spirit. But I gave up my poverty consciousness, and gratitude is the purest form of prayer. Say, wow, I have this beautiful home, a shop that's full of treasures, and I saw it in a dream. I was down in Texas, and I dreamed this house before I came back from working with my brother for a year down there raising money. And I had a woman in recovery that was in the real estate business. She showed me 2 houses. One of them was half of a house in a real nice neighborhood. And I said, well, what's the other one? Let me see it. And she took me to this house, and I said, this is the one I saw in my dream. Because it was zoned, it's an old house, 1894. So that was before the big flood. And it's high enough because we're going up towards Mount Tabor from the river. So it's high enough for the big flood that flooded Portland in 1895 didn't affect it. They didn't have cars, so they had a horse and buggy carriage out back where my shed is. And this house has a lot of memories. And it's built with old growth, knob and tube wiring. And it's, but I dreamed that it was a place where people come to gather. It had been abandoned and a bunch of homeless people were living in it, and this guy bought it and turned it into a locksmith down there on where my store is, and he sold it to a man that installed tile, and they had a kiln up on the 3rd floor, and he tiled this place everywhere you can look. He was putting tile on there, and he was a master tiler. So it's got a lot of memories. It's got a chimney right behind my where I'm looking right now. My back's to the east and my face is to the west. So I'm facing east. Last class we faced north. And we had a couch in there facing north. I have a death mask that I've made. The natives say it's a good day to die if you live today as best you can. And let tomorrow take care of itself. And don't make a plan, just do your best today. That's all you got. Because thank you for the breath of life was my prayer this morning. Thank you, my brother. You went before me. You always went before me. So you're up there in the spirit world. I want you to help me. Because he talks to me. That's this great book I read called what the hell was the name of that? I'll think of it in a minute. It was about a woman whose brother was a drug addict. She kept going trying to rescue him, and all her friends said, "Don't waste your time. He's going to pull you down." Finally he got killed by the mob for trying to steal, and she never betrayed him. So she was minding her own business, grieving her brother's death, just like I'm grieving mine. He started talking to her. He said, hey sister, I want you to write a book. And I want to write it. And she says, what the hell is that? She didn't believe, she thought she was going crazy. Because she was hearing these voices. She wasn't quite prepared to listen. So he started saying, you can't believe how beautiful it is up here. And I don't know how much longer I can communicate with you. The light, you remember everything. You remember what you were down there for. You remember it all. So become a channel, a hollow bone. That's the 11th step of Alcoholics Anonymous. We become a hollow bone so spirit can work through us. And don't put me on any damn pedestal. That's because you get knocked down. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. So exposing yourself is in recovery. They say you're only as sick as your secrets. So tell the truth, even if your voice is shaking. Tell the truth. And look at yourself in the mirror before you go to bed and say, how'd you do today? Did you leave the world just a little bit better than you found it? That's the one you got to answer to. That's Cinderella. The mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? That's Alice in Wonderland. That's through the looking glass. We have to go through the house of mirrors. And in Gestalt therapy, they say we have to retrieve aspects of our soul that we've lost and quit saying, a part of me wants this, but the other part wants that. Is there two of you? How can you just be one? So as a therapist, I would say I was a Gestalt therapist, which means I hate in you the qualities I hate in myself. And I love in you the qualities I love in myself. And you never know who your teacher's going to be, because your life's none of your damn business. So don't be planning too much, but just have a sense of where you're going to be open to change. Just don't be like the Taurus that says, I'm going to do this, come hell or high water. And rather than fight, it's like cleaning up our language, be impeccable in your word. That's one of the 4 agreements of Joseph Raoul, or whatever his name was, the guy that wrote the 4 agreements. But one of my teachers, make no assumptions, always do your best, and don't take anything personally. Like other people's drama is not yours. So take care of yourself, and see with you. Say kindness is a language everyone understands. Say I love you. If you love, you get it back like that mirror. What do you see when you look in that mirror every night? You take the time to say, how'd you do? I'll look in that mirror. And there in my little room next to the chokey, I've got a shower. It's about 3 by 3. It's not a very big shower. It's like Trunchbull, Miss Honey, and put you in the chokey. And but I go in there and take a shower every morning. My wife likes to shower, wash off the things every evening. That's her ritual. Mine's morning. So the Morning Star, I used to be in a men's group, and we had the crack of dawn meeting. And we'd meet at 4 o'clock in the morning, because we were all so damn busy. That's the only time we could think that we could all get together. And we called it the crack of dawn group. And it was a magical circle. We did things like there's a council of elders above you that knows what to do all the time. So are we looking at the Aluna, like there's what Ashley wants, what Casey wants, and what the relationship wants. So if you can detach from being right, say, listen with your heart's ear. Say, I love you. And what loving is its own reward. It doesn't cost a damn thing. Giving is its own reward. But fear is a universal destroyer of harmony. So if you're happy and something comes on the news and you say, oh my God. They say stress is not an event. Stress is the perception of an event. So it's how you're seeing that, like. That's why I like gratitude. They say that's the purest form of prayer is gratitude. Let's see. Bob Hall. Lord help us. Let's admit Bob if he's still there. Let's see if Bob comes on. I didn't see him there. Now, if Ashley was here, she would have caught that right away. But,
Sorry.
hey, Bob Hall.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. I can't see you. There he is. Yay. Let's see. Let's see. Remove Bob Hall? No, we don't want to remove Bob Hall. Let's cancel that. Can you hear me, Bob?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No. A little bit, but you turn it up. Turn up the volume.
Okay, this take it to loud as it goes. Well, let me see what this thing says. What the microphone things. I don't understand why it's
That's okay.
okay. But I've been trying for like get on for 40 minutes and the system's changed because I can't get Zoom give me anything but an AI screen telling me happy AI screen and
Yeah.
you know there's no way to go. And then on the other side of it, when I just tried to force it to get on like you used to, uh, I never got a form to put in like the password or anything like that. It just, you know, I had a trail that would take me to Zoom, and it was associated with you. It would go in and say, um, that you'd started it, and but it would notify you that I was, in the waiting room or wherever it goes. But um, I don't know. But I mean, it almost shocked me when you came on because I was just ready to
Well,
go.
here you are. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too.
I'm glad you're here. And
God
Ashley is taking care of herself. I'm glad.
happy.
And she's so fast at everything, and I'm dumb. It takes me a long time to get it.
Well, I've officially decided that I'm just a Luddite and
But,
hopelessly can't do this stuff anymore. But anyhow,
well, I'm talking about uh, whatever improv. It's improv because how you make spirit laugh is you make a plan. The funny thing happens, like if you watch kids play, it's not who can get to the top, it's who can get to the bottom, because that's where all the touch is. So,
I'm on.
how are we in touch or out of touch?
Patrick,
Yes.
can I read February's prayer from
I
the
wish you
reading?
would, because I couldn't find my book. So, read
Well,
it.
got up and walked off.
Okay, this is the February prayer. Lord, behold our family here assembled. We thank thee for this place in which we dwell, for the love that unites us, for the peace accorded to us this day, for the hope with which we expect the morrow, for the health, the work, the food, and the bright skies that make our lives delightful, for our friends in all parts of the earth. Amen.
That's
Amen.
beautiful. That's beautiful. That's one of my favorite books was Through the Looking Glass, Alice, uh, C.S. Lewis's books about Alice that fell down and met Fiddly Dee and Fiddly Dum and the rabbit. We're coming up on the Spring Equinox ceremony, and preparation is 90% of ceremony. So that's what the old Boy Scouts say, be prepared, be prepared. They teach you how to prepare. Says, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy say, how you learn how to fly is you throw yourself at the ground and miss. So that's
It's great to buy worthless about
so if you're still laughing and dancing, you know your soul's alive and your child is healthy. If that child's wounded in any way, you have to go in there and with that bear's got that child. So Grandmother Bear is I'm on Bear Creek out there in Carson, and so you can drink right out of that creek. And I have a well and a spring-fed well, and those I have two springs. And the logging companies sued me to have access across my land, and I fought them. I'm a Hatfield from West Virginia, so they say this is trespassing. You're on my land and it's private. It's a private piece of property. Well, they just bullied their way across because they had Weyerhaeuser money, and they wanted to clear cut that. Forest management. Yeah, right. So when I bought that land in 2003, there was a big old grandmother tree. I found it. I walked that whole land until I found the grandmother tree. And they had a big cable wrapped around her where they loggers had used that tree to drag down other trees. There's stumps down by the creek, and you're not supposed to clear cut within so many feet from where the creek is. And so I made prayers out there for a year before I built anything, and lived in the teepee over on the north side of the property. I had a 10 by 10 tent. I was doing shows all over the country, Baltimore, Austin, Texas, San Francisco, Seattle. So I was doing shows, all kinds of shows. I had a big van that I could put my tent in, and all my drums and flutes and herbs. And I'd go down to Joshua Tree, California, and for 16 years I was selling drums to the participants of the Lynn Andrews gatherings. And Lynn Andrews, if you don't know who she was, she wrote several books. One of them called Medicine Woman, Jaguar Woman, The Flight of the Seventh Moon, and a lot of the local skins said, "Oh, you're just a phony," because she's talking about these ruby plenty chiefs and Agnes Whistling Elk, and she was drew a lot of incredible people to her. So you never know who your teacher's going to be. Sometimes my sponsor says, sometimes your teacher's the people who go out and take a drink. You don't have to take the drink because somebody else will take it for you. And you just see what happens with that alcohol. If you're an alcoholic or a workaholic or gambling anonymous. So addictions is I was a rehab counselor. Now I don't have a MSW. I have a MA. So I was scared to death of people. That's why I went to bars. Because I hung out with people I thought I was just a little bit better than. That's that false pride, alcoholic. And they say, if you take a drink of alcohol, it only has one way, an elevator, and that's down. So you have to hit bottom. There's a lot of porn about that. Hitting bottoms. Give me a spanking, because I've been a bad boy. So bondage and fetishes, and it's Portland. When I came out here, they had Portlandia, which is a great, and Grimm is all formed and filmed here in Portland. And I loved Portland before this homeless crisis and politics. So in AA they say there are no leaders, there's only trusted servants. And don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. Wear life like a loose garment. Don't get too angry, don't get too lonely, don't get too hungry, or don't get too tired. Take care of yourself. So going in the moon lodge when you're in your moon time is being with other women. That's what my dear Ashley's doing. She bought a book. Did she read the book? Hell no. But she's reading it with a group. So that's like the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Say every time you read it, it'll change. Because you're changing. If you ain't changing, you're stuck, and you're occupying space that somebody else could have. So, walking around this wheel, the medicine wheel, which is, I brought one of my drums out here, painted drums. Portland's called the Rose City. So my artist that painted this is named Rose, and it's made out of bear. And on the back of the handle is the 4 directions. And so in each direction are 4 directions. So this is like quantum physics. So in the air, there's the fire, the earth, and the water. And the fire are those 4 elements are in each one of these directions. So rather than saying but, just clean up, be impeccable in your word. Make no assumptions. Don't take the actions of others personally. And always do my best. So every time you teach, and usually the teachers are the ones that are teaching what they most need to know. So I spend a lot of time trying to convince myself of what I already know. And that's drama. I used to call this Cedar Mountain drama. But then I realized that, I love theater. So drama isn't okay. I don't mind drama. Sometimes I'm dramatic. Animated. That's what they used to call the Indians, or animals. Animated. But you have to degrade people in order to call them savages. Those savages. So I hung out with savages. We had a group that I sweat with for 9 years. And we called ourselves the Sweat Hogs. And every Friday we'd go in the sweat lodge. Rain, shine, all. It says suit up and show up. I had that drilled in my little head. That was my experience on the Red Road. I'd already done 12 years of daily AA meetings. And then the clubhouse that I was the president of burned down. Caught fire, and I said, my God, I was addicted to AA meetings, and that my support group went up in smoke. So I was doing fundraising at the time, raising money for the Portland Rose Gardens and the zoo, OMSI, OHSU, uh, uh, the Tears of Joy Theater over in Vancouver. That was a campaign I did. So I've always loved the Columbia Gorge, driving out there to Carson and going across the Bridge of the Gods. That's a spiritual experience because you don't see billboards. You know, I'm from a place where there's so much clutter. There's no space. There's no space. But going down that gorge, I was raised on the Ohio River in West Virginia. So my people were Mingo Seneca. They were bands. And the Mingo wandered. They weren't the they were hunter-gathering tribes. And they say a squirrel could go from one end to the next, all the way across this country without touching ground, or at least go to the Rockies, going across the plains. So the reservations were all on the land that the white people didn't want until they discovered there was oil there, and then they wanted to steal that too. And the natives were laughing at the white people, saying they think they can own land. My God in heaven! So you can't own land. You can have a deed. Like I'm working on it. I own Bear Creek, or I'm the steward of that land. It means if I take care of myself first, and then take care of what I hold sacred. So that's values clarification. We've done that in many of these past classes, like the 5 symbols, like the box, the cross, the circle, the spiral, and the triangle. Those are sacred symbols, and they appear in all art, like Rose, this beautiful art, and she gets this color wash look, and I've got the west is the bear, the east is either the condor or the eagle. Those are the symbols of the east. It's it's a visionary in the male the visionary is in the north in the feminine, and it's in the east in the masculine. The warrior is in the north with yin. The warrior is the dream. So when you fall asleep tonight, you're going home. And Mandy is a lucid dreamer. So she dreams while she's awake. That's there's 3 dreams that they talk about in Toltec shamanism. The dream of us right now, the daydream, and the night dream. So Mandy's the second. She's the daydreamer. So her cycle is the cycle of woman. So I had to learn how to love a woman, how to love myself and my left side, which is the feminine aspect. Unless you're left-handed, and then your right side's your feminine. So, but there's not many left-handed people. So I started lefting. That is, cursive led to the left, one line to the left, the next one to the right. I was going to write a book, but rather than just going to the right and coming back and reading again to the right, back, it's like a typewriter. But playing the drums, the djembe, some you use your hands. They're the hands. Well, I just traded Dr. Joe yesterday because I couldn't turn my neck. My neck had been stoved up for some reason. And I kept saying, what's the metaphor here? Who's my pain in the neck? And because I realized he came over about the time my neck got better. So you always call the doctor when it's the worst. And the only way out is through. So in recovery they say pain is the touchstone for all spiritual progress. They say how you learn what hot is rather than telling Frankie, don't touch the stove, it's hot. He doesn't know what hot is. So you gotta, once you sit on the stove, you'll learn what hot is. So let's get off your ass. Move. It's like aliveness is movement, and walking around that wheel is like walking around the cycle of a day. In the morning, we're Frankie. We wake up with new eyes each day, and you see fresh. You don't leave dirty dishes in the sink, or at least you're not a perfectionist. So if you leave a couple, that's fine. But used to be a store here in Portland called Fairly Honest Bills. You go into the store and say, what do you want for that? He said, I don't know, what do you give me for it? Say, so you don't want to be too perfectionistic. That's one of the 4 addictions, is perfectionism. And the need to know. I need to know what's going to happen in those classes before I take them. Say, suit up and show up. That's the first step. More will be revealed. See? So the more times I had to go to daily meetings 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night, before I could get the 12 steps through my thick head. That you got to give it away to keep it. That means, what the hell if you have $500 billion like Elon Musk? Are you going to take that with you? Get on that jet and go out there. We're star people. So a lot of geniuses. I went to military school, and we had some students from very wealthy families, and some of them were smarter than the damn teachers that were trying to teach them. And so all your experience, if you tell your story, you're going to help somebody. If you start being the masturbator, like, well, you got to do this and you got to do that. Well, AA says if you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. So, the 5 steps of volition. Clarity of intent, presence, like Ashley and I, we play ping pong when she comes over here. That's, and rather than hit the ball away from somebody to beat them so you can be a winner, we hit it too. It takes a lot more skill to hit it right in front of them. So how long can we keep this ball going? We make up our own rules. So the ball represents the Aluna. So how can I feed the ball to Ashley right in front of her where she's creator? It's like dogs. They love you no matter what you do. Or children. You can beat them, but they don't hold resentments. And in recovery they say resentments are the #1 offender. So if you're looking at what you don't have rather than what you do have, like that beautiful gratitude prayer that February is the month I was conceived. that's when I was conceived. That's when the sperm hit the egg. 9 months later in November, I came out of the womb, the sweat lodge. And when we go into that sweat lodge, we go back in the womb to remember why in the hell we're here. And burn away all the beliefs that separate us. Whether that's a sauna, or whether that's a steam room, or a sweat lodge. It's a time to pray, and preparation is 90% of prayer. And your life is a prayer. And when you die, they say, how'd you do down there? Did you manifest your highest? We, in grad school, we had to write our own eulogy, and how long were we going to live, and what we wanted on our tombstone, say, assuming we're going to be buried in the earth. And that was a very, very powerful. So we went to hospice places and counseled dying people. And I'd ask them, I'd say, what do you need to take care of before you go to the other side? And the dying end up trying to protect the living. And the passage, the rites of passage to the spirit world is the north. That's when we fall asleep tonight. Going back into the dream. And the Toltec path down in South America is the Toltecs have a way of sending your body to where you're going before you get there. That way you don't have jet lag. So when I went to London, I found a big old oak tree right there in Hyde Park, or right next to the Queen's quarters. And I sat down with my back to that oak tree, and I says, I plant my spirit body here so that when I come back, I don't have jet lag. And sure enough, it worked. 'Cause I wasn't tired, and my dad used to travel around the world with a briefcase. And he'd say, why do you pack all this stuff up when you're going someplace? Take a toothbrush and maybe a clean shirt, and you can take care of everything tomorrow. But if you're over prepared, that's like the squirrel that has too many nuts. They all spoil if you don't use them, if you don't eat them. So just have enough for today. If you got enough to eat, if you don't, I'll feed you. It's like kindness. That's my tribe said kindness is a language everybody understands. And my friends are very kind, like Bob Hall. Radical acceptance. Well, acceptance is the key. That's the yin. I'll let you in. I'll let you in my life. I open my heart to you. It's not open your legs unless you want to conceive. So the passage, the yoni, the sacred feminine, the source of life, and all the ceremonies the natives do is honoring the mother, because we all come from the Mother Gaia, and she could flick us off so quickly. So I'm grateful to still be here. My brother's up there guiding me, because he's been talking to me in my dreams. That's a beautiful thing to hook up with your ancestors. That's the crown chakra. That's the letter B in music. B is the crown chakra, and the color is violet. So that was my fraternity, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, and that's violet. Was Minerva was our lady mother Mother Minerva, that's a Leo. The regal, the queen. So in chess, who has all the power? The queen. But they get the drone that fertilizes the queen, and then making honey and molasses. So my grandpa was a beekeeper. I bought about $2,000 worth of beekeeping thing, tried to raise bees up there at Bear Creek. Got masks and the whole thing, and didn't get the first jar of honey. The bears love honey, you know. So we were way up there on the weekends, so we weren't living there. So we had chickens, and we had an amazing garden up there at Bear Creek. And Mandy was the one that was responsible for it, because if you want to make a garden, you don't get a man, I mean, unless it's the Green Man. And over there at Findhorn, they say that those plants have an intelligence much greater than ours, and they have divas. So if you want to know what to plant, you ask the divas. They'll tell you exactly where. But if you're in your head, the old Farmer's Almanac, it tells you when to plant. So we're in the planting season, the Green Man, moving towards March, which is the Easter eggs. We color the Easter eggs, the bunny. March, the March hare, the Spring Equinox, when the Easter lilies come up and the flowers, and Persephone emerges from the lower world, Demeter being Mother Earth, Zeus being Father Sky, and Persephone being their child. And Persephone is a maiden who goes to the lower world to try to rescue the lost souls who are still suffering. It's Lucifer, or you're the Set and Seth, the beast and the beauty. So you have to embrace both, and the good and the bad and the ugly, and say release words like good, bad, win, lose, all, nothing, and start I like the term dare to be average. Seek the middle, avoid the extremes. Say, be careful who you let in your house. When people want to come in my store, I said, who are you and what do you want? I said, if they want to browse, I said, well, give me a key to your house. Can I browse your house? This is my house. I have a store, but I live above the store. And this is my drums go in the basement. The flute goes up in the upper room because it's Father Sky and Mother Earth. And then we have the rattle, which is in the west. And then we have the Tibetan bowls that are in the east. So we have the four colors. Japan, China, those are the eastern. Russia, those are all eastern tribes. So you have many teachers I've had. And I've been with a woman because I went through my last trying to rescue a damsel in distress. I let go of seeking. Seeking, it's a paradox. When you're in the higher levels of spirituality, there's fewer people around. How many people spent 4 days without food or water in prayer. That was my vision quest. And I went from making a lot of money and spending a lot of money into what Spirit want for me. Go on the mountain like Moses went up there to bring down those tablets. Thou shalt not, thou shalt not. People come in my store and say, how you doing? Not bad. That's not how you're doing, that's how you're not doing. So, how you doing? Back in West Virginia, they say, fair to middling. Fair to middling. So it's the earth-based is to love your mother. And your mother earth is hummus. That's we got these bodies, and are we taking loving care of our bodies? Don't get too tired. Don't get too hungry. Don't get too angry. I mean, you turn on network news and it starts sucking your soul. So I think this type of forum, without, you don't have to subscribe to me, Lord. Because I'm doing it for me. I do it for attention or money or likes. How many likes did I have? So the giving's always for the giver. Nobody gets poor through giving. So that Bob Hall sold more drums for me than anybody else I know. Because he can't make a damn drum, but he can sure sell them. Because he's Gemini. So the Sag, my dad was a Sag and my uncle was a Sag. And they were both horse people. And there's the unicorn. There's a story Ted Andrews talks about. All the waters were polluted. The oceans were full of plastic, and the fish were eating the plastic, and it's killing them. We're killing our Mother Earth. So I had this buddy I made the drum for, and he had a show in New York in the gallery there called. It wasn't called anything. It just showed how we're polluting. We throw plastic away, paper away, and waste like garbage. But there is no garbage. There is no garbage. Supposedly, everything goes back to Mama. I mean, we can kill this. We think we can kill this planet, but this planet can kick us off just like that. So I'm at the fourth ridge of life. You know, the first ridge is Frankie. That's when I wake up in the morning with new eyes. I went out there in the hot tub, and this crow came down and looked at me. I said, "How you doing, brother?" Because they say a murder of crows. Crows are all over Portland. And I hear them down there in the south gate, because I always know which way they're flying. I had a woman say, when you see a bird, they've got a message. So when I was a kid, I had a shotgun, and I shot a crow out of the air. And that crow came down and started chasing me. It was mad as hell. And says, "You don't shoot a bird." And ever since then, I had to eat crows. As if my grandpa always said, if you shoot it, you eat it. So beware of what you shoot. You can shoot your mouth off. But I've had a lot of teachers come to this house. I've had people from Australia. I had a man named Francis Firebrace. He's still alive. I think he's in his 90s now. I took him down to the ice cream store because he said, "I'd like an ice cream." he went down there and he went to every booth and says, "Hello, I'm Francis Firebrace. So it's good to meet you." And he had that whole place alive, because, you know, people don't go up and talk to strangers unless they're Bob Hall. He will. He's all these signs. We have to walk around that wheel, which is prayer and meditation. And my teacher, David Wheeler, was a chiropractor. And I'd go and we'd do meditation for 45 minutes. They do that at the Raj back there in Fairfield, Iowa, where the Maharishi and Ayurvedic ways are taught. So medicine is taught, the I Ching. Medicine is flutes, drums, and medicine is herbs. Ayahuasca. I had a friend named I'm not going to tell you his name because I don't have his permission, but he teaches. He's got a long time in recovery in AA, and he went, and he's got like 24 years or something without a drink. But he also teaches psychedelics and does ayahuasca, peyote, the teacher plants, not the fentanyl and meth and all these man-made drugs. It says the nature's bounty. Nature has all these plants that'll heal us. When you go out and take something, my attorney was supposed to meet with me today. He's doing my end-of-life stuff. He says, "Well, I'm heading to Hawaii on Friday, or Saturday this weekend." Because he was supposed to, I sent him money and signed his contract, and he's supposed to start to get my end-of-life, where I can give this house to my wife. I give everything I have to my wife, and maybe get Bear Creek set up as a non-profit 501c3 with my church in Portland and my retreat center out there in Carson. And maybe fight the people that want to clear-cut the forests. Say, let's take good care of our planet and say no. And so I still have a dream, like Martin Luther King. The visionary is a place in the north, and some it's the east. What's your vision? What's Spirit's will for you? That's 12-step recovery. And if you work painstakingly through the 12 steps, which is basically taking care of your own hoop, going and making amends to people you've harmed. If you create any wreckage, go repair it, so that when you go on the hill, you're not stuff that you haven't dealt with. You get current. So before I went on the hill to create Cedar Mountain Drums, I made 660 prayer ties on a red string and wrapped them around and then I went up and I put my arbor around, which I tied the 4 directions of these 4 directions we're teaching. The gifts of the east, the gifts of the south, the gifts of the west, the gifts of the north. So it's in the south is the light. That's the child, the adult that's actualized their potential. It's from the little boy to the adolescent to the adults. Then we gradually go back in the afternoon to the elders, the third ridge of life, That's the south. So we dream, we pray for potatoes, and we're willing to plant and to water and to nurture those plants until they come from the dark back to the light. And that's shadow work. There's some great books on dancing with the shadow, making an altar to your dark side. Because if you only show your good side to people, my mother gave me and my brother subscriptions to Playboy. So she says the young boys should know about pretty girls. And, so she initiated boys a lot different than you would initiate a daughter. So the little boys are becoming childlike as the gifts of the East, and this is a time for gratitude, a time for reflection. But what are the gifts of the East? Well, I don't have them all memorized, but courage. In 12 steps they say, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change. To accept the things I can't change. So basically, what can I change? My attitude. From one of entitlement and to one of playfulness. The child is playful. So the gifts of the East are wonder, a love that does not know itself, spontaneity. Means you have to have plans for everything. Some people won't go out of the house without a plan. What's going to happen if I go out there? You don't know until you go out there. So it's like the bird cage. You got that bird in the cage and the door's open, but he'd rather stay in the cage. Because that's the box of the 5 symbols. You got to play outside the box. That's change. So change is realizing that we're changing all the time, and with the seasons, and with the elders like me and Bob, we're elders. We're close to going home. My brother just went home, but I talk to him in my dreams. In the morning, I get out there in that hot tub and I sing. And that crow came to me and looked at me, greeted me. So if you go outside and don't play in the box, and staying in the house is a box. So I actually just went down to Taos, New Mexico for the weekend. That's found a place. It's a beautiful place. I bought my first drum in Taos, New Mexico. And all my artwork that's hanging in there came from Taos, New Mexico artists. It's an artist colony. And there was a Taos drum company. And those drums were made in the pueblos there, down at and it was a double-sided drum. I bought it in Austin, Texas. Because when I was in Texas I was in Fort Worth, which is like sitting up with the dead, because they closed down at 7 o'clock. And I'd go over to Dallas, because that's where the action was. Dallas with Big D. And they had a big theme park there between Fort Worth and Dallas, but all the money was in Fort Worth. Like, the Walmart daughter lived there and had a horse ranch. And I learned a lot in my year down there in Texas helping my brother. And he's going to have a military funeral. And I sent him home. I'm not going down there to his funeral. But I'm honoring him every day, every morning. I say, sometimes we wake up and don't, or we go to bed and we don't wake up. So you wake up with new eyes every day. That's my intention. And ask people, who are you and what do you want, before they let them in my store. So if you're creating sacred space, you have to take care of that sacred space every day. So always ask permission. When I was a kid, we used to play Mother May I, because you could take one giant step. Mother May I? Yes. And you take one giant. But if you didn't ask Mother May I, you have to go back to the start. So it's always ask permission. Because you don't know. If you touch somebody, that's sacred space. That's what I learned clowning. They say some kids are afraid of clowns. So what I learned as a clown is to be more afraid of the kid than he is afraid of me. So I'd run and hide if he was scared of me. And he'd say, "Where'd he go?" But I would never invade his space. That's sacred. I was also a mime on the street of San Francisco. Where I'd go out there and I'd reflect there. I'd go out there and throw strangers a ball. And some of them would duck. But nobody would play with me, because I'd say, "Here, catch." And throw them a softball, you know. They'd have all sort of reactions. There wasn't many responses. Well, I've gone over time. I guess I've gone past an hour and a half. It's 8:15. So I'm sorry. I wanted to hear more from Bob, but if you show up next week, if you can fumble your way through, and I can fumble my way through, have Casey and Ashley help us. Mandy's going to be leaving on the 25th. She's here. This is the 19th, so I'm so grateful to have her here. And gratitude is, I'm happy when she's here, and I'm happy when she's not here. So I'm not needing her. I love her. Loving is the elixir. Nobody gets bored through loving and giving. And I love you guys. And we can still talk, but I got to turn this recording off because it says an hour and a half. So I'm going to stop the recording. Let's see. Pause, stop. Stop recording. Where is it? Right here.